Hey, everybody. Welcome to Good Shepherd Lutheran Church, our weekly devotionals. I'm Pastor Jamie, in case this might be the first time you've tuned in. I will be using the lectionary text for today, Wednesday, October 28th, and our text comes to us from the Gospel of Matthew, um, the 19th chapter, verses 16 to 22. A story that's probably familiar to most of us, and that would be the rich young man. Then someone came to Jesus and said, "Teacher, what good deed must I do to have eternal life?" And he said to him, "Why do you ask me about what is good? There is only one who is good. If you wish to enter into life, keep the commandments." He said to him, "Which ones?" And Jesus said, "You shall not murder, you shall not commit adultery, steal, you shall not bear false witness, honor your father and mother. Also, you shall love your neighbor as yourself." The young man said to him, "I have kept all of these. Why do I still lack?" Jesus said to him, "If you wish to be perfect, go sell your possessions and give the money to the poor, and you will have treasure in heaven. Then come and follow me." When the young man heard this word, he went away grieving, for he had many possessions. Here ends our reading. There are many unnamed characters in the Gospels. The Syrophoenician woman, the men for whom demons were cast out in Gennesaret, or the father of the boy who comes to Jesus and asks him to cast out demons at the foot of Mount Tabor. Today, we read another unnamed person whose identity is revealed in dribs and drabs, although the seven verse pericope. The gospel begins by calling him someone and then reveals him to be male, young, and finally that he is rich. That makes him a rich young man. The issue of money, earlier discussed in Matthew 6, raises its head again in this text with the story of the rich young man who was drawn to Jesus. The young man asked Jesus, "What good deed must I do to have eternal life?" And Jesus tells him to keep the commandments, in which he responds that he has done since he was a youth. A distinctive element, though, in Matthew's narrative is that the young man then asked Jesus, "Why do I still lack?" He goes on asking this question: "What can do? We can do everything that appears right, but still know that someone or something is not right inside of us." And Jesus responds to sell his possessions, give the money to the poor, and that he would have treasure in heaven, and then come and follow him. The rich young man, again nameless, has a lot of things going for him. At least so it seems. He's rich, indicated that this man um, is rich enough to live properly on the income that is derived from his land, that he has hired tenant farmers. This puts him ahead of the working class, who formed about 70% of the population, and even more than the lowest class of people who could barely eke out a living and comprise 28% of the population. That put our young man in the 2% of the creamy layer of society. The rich man also is young, but more than that, he is a man. And I know that sounds misogynistic, but you have to understand that this statement is purely that first century patriarchal mindset. A Jewish male woke up early in the morning to a crowing rooster. At his feet, as it touched the ground, he would faithfully utter a prayer from the Jewish prayer book. In his prayer, he would thank God for not making him a Gentile, a slave, or a woman. These three categories of people were deeply frowned upon and looked down in the first century Jew. So the young man seemingly has a lot going for him. His roll call of material and physical assets, he also has an enviable religious life. He has maintained all the five commandments that Jesus cites and of the 10 commandments, including the additional command to love one's neighbor as ourselves. Yet there is a void or an emptiness that he just cannot fathom. and he admits to a yearning and a lacking in life. His wealth could satisfy his human hunger, but not his spiritual thirst. It was not enough that he was eating, but it's what was eating at him. So Jesus calls the man to perfection. That is not some abstract life without any mistakes, but rather a call to be mature and complete. The young man is now being called to be a mature adult in his spiritual life. This involved the challenge of being detached from his earthly possessions that had stunted to some degree his spiritual striving for perfection. Understand clearly, Jesus did not demand that he give up all his riches right now. He is directing his answer in context to the question of the young man who seeks more in his life. Jesus does not, again, demand perfection from the young man because Jesus says, if you wish to be perfect. And that is a big if. And that if needs a lot of soul searching, a soul searching that the young man was not willing to do. And so he walks away as soon as the demands of discipleship are placed before him. When Jesus asked the rich young man to sell his possessions and follow him, the young man could not. Some of us are materialistic, like the young man. The thought of being without a cell phone or a car or another prized possession is relatable to the young man. But on the other hand, some of us have taken on the culture of minimalism, having fewer things and less physical clutter in our lives. And it may be hard to identify with the man if we live in this way. But Jesus wasn't only talking about tangible possessions. Consider Jesus saying, delete your cloud memory, digital photos, and computer storage and follow me. Delete your Facebook and connections to the outside world and follow me. Stop talking to your family and friends and follow me. Can you relate to the young man now? Would you turn away if Jesus asked this of you? In studying stewardship as a way of life, you discover that a disciple is a steward. The disciples dropped their nets on the beach and followed Jesus. If you understand this radical discipleship, then you understand stewardship. And it's not about letting go of family and friends and material needs. It's really about putting God before all of these things. Point of all of this is that discipleship is hard and it asks for us to think about and let go of those things in our lives that get in the way of putting God first. For our rich young man, it was his possessions. For someone else, it may be their time, or for someone else, it might be not seeing their family as much. My challenge has always been the last one. Fortunately, my family and my wife's family understand and respect the decision that I've made to serve God through the church. We are all asked to put God first. The question is, what is getting in your way? Well, that's what I got for this week, everybody. I probably will be doing my devotion on either Tuesday or Thursday next week because next Wednesday I will not be able to do it because I'll be having a minor procedure done. So until we see each other again, take care of yourselves and each other.